The city planet of Coruscant is easily one of the most interesting places in all of the lore. What many people do not know is that Coruscant is actually roughly the size of Earth. However, unlike Earth, Coruscant roughly has 3 trillion members of its population, despite an official census that was taken just following the Clone Wars, which put the number at roughly 1 trillion. However, many believe that this number was incorrect. The census that was taken actually did not include temporary workers, transients, unregistered residents, or people living in other orbital facilities. This would put it roughly around 430 times Earth's current population as of 2024. Roughly 70% of Coruscant is made up of humans. In fact, humans are believed to have originated from Coruscant, and the other 30% is known as other sentient life forms. However, exactly how this is classified is unclear. Something interesting about Coruscant is how it is viewed by the Greater Republic. Many believe that it is the core of the government. It is not a place to be vacationed, sunbathed, or a location that is worth sightseeing. It is a place of pure business. Its environment is extremely unique, as it is made up of orbital mirrors, which were set up that would reflect the sun's warmth and life, reflecting it back at Coruscant during daylight hours. In Legends continuity, Coruscant actually did have naturally occurring storms, with it being recorded in the year 3 ABY that there were thunderstorms and rain on the city planet. However, in canon, the weather is artificially maintained, meaning everything was either controlled centrally by the Republic or by the Empire. Coruscant originally had a big problem. Its sun was not very large, which meant that the planet was not particularly habitable, and many species could not naturally live there. Coruscant also ran into a different problem, as its gigantic buildings created unusual and unpredictable microclimates, which caused varying degrees of temperature and air pressure between the higher and the lower altitudes within the tallest of Coruscant's buildings. When it came to air, there was a different problem. The upper levels of Coruscant were of course filtered, but there are 5,000 plus levels on the city planet. Essentially, the higher up you lived was marked by your air quality. The rich, the influential, and the wealthy had near perfect air. However, those that were left in the undercity, buried and forgotten, leveled by the trillions of pounds of waste that Coruscant produces every single day. The air was considered to be barely breathable. Toxic fumes produced by millennia of the planet-wide cityscape's vehicle and factory waste, all of that compounded on the poor. Many of the most influential and richest citizens didn't even breathe air at all, but rather, a form of purified gas was their preference. Many people would even bring their own private air supply, not trusting the conditions of Coruscant. But there was yet another problem. The countless life forms produced a massive amount of carbon dioxide and heat. Because of this, Coruscant required thousands of atmospheric dampeners, those that were stationed in the atmosphere in order to prevent it from falling apart completely. Initially, this was developed by the Galactic Republic and was known as the Coruscant Atmospheric Reclamation Project. Those that lived above were terrified of those that lived below. They were cannibalistic criminals. In fact, many of them had been banished there hundreds, if not thousands of years ago. They had grown into monstrosities, mutants, and they were extremely dangerous. But there was something deep within Coruscant that the people needed, and that was the power relay. Stations deep within Coruscant were billions upon billions of pounds of debris that was previously buildings lay. Their foundations cracked, housing rats, mutants of different varieties, and yet still distributing power to the surface of the world. Life on Coruscant varies drastically. Many believe it is the place of democracy and only a place of the rich. However, it also houses the most dangerous people in the entire galaxy. Those criminals typically flee to the lower levels, the lowest of which this is still accessible to this day, being level 5. The reason for this is it has been said that the Republic, and then later the Empire, did not exist in the lower levels of Coruscant, and there were popular bars and other shady locations, including black markets, where the most dangerous villains in the galaxy would gather. The only place that they were welcome, because essentially, it was truly lawless. A place extremely close to the galactic government, and yet, no government existed at all. But there were still despicable things that went on closer to the surface. Just below the middle class of Coruscant lie the gangs, the mafia, and warfare. Criminal syndicates like the Black Sun ruled large portions of territory in the Coruscant underworld. Here, they could smuggle their drugs freely, close to the surface, yet abiding by the lawlessness that lay below. Just below the surface was nearly entirely run by gangs. The absolute saddest fact about Coruscant is that we only see the 1% of the 1% in film and animation most of the time. We only explore the levels of Coruscant that are populated by the wealthy. Not only the normally wealthy, but the absurdly wealthy. Most individuals on Coruscant lived an absolutely horrid life. They breathed subpar air. They were literally buried by the trash of those more fortunate than them. Another fascinating part of Coruscant's history is its transition under the Galactic Empire, which we actually get a pretty good look at in the canon Tarkin novel. There, it says this: he had heard that one needn't have been absent from Coruscant for years to be startled by the changes. Each day saw buildings razed, demolished, incorporated into even larger and taller monstrosities, or merely stripped of Republic-era ornamentation, or renovated in accordance with a more severe aesthetic. Curved lines were wielding to harsh angles, sophistication to declaration. Fashions had changed along with similar lines, with few outside the Imperial court affecting cloaks, head clothes, or garnish robes. By most accounts though, Coruscanti were very satisfied, especially those who lived and worked in the upper tiers, the tiers of the fathomless cityscape, content that for no other reason to have had the brutal war behind them. The people of the upper levels were healthy, wealthy, and happy. Even after the Empire rose, things didn't really change all that much on Coruscant, at least not at first. But what did change was the alien species living below Coruscant. They were now viewed as pariah, as the Empire pushed an anti-alien sentiment, making Coruscant a dangerous place for many species in the galaxy. What had once been a grand melting pot now served as a warning, at least to those on the upper levels. However, the lower levels remained much the same. Palpatine found himself somewhat disinterested with what went on below him, and if they could not benefit him and did not hamper him, why would he mind? The Senate had not minded the existence of those less fortunate for hundreds of years. In Legends continuity, many of the criminal syndicates actually found their way to the upper levels of the city after the Empire fell, and the government crumbled before their eyes. So, if you would like to see that full story fleshed out in a video, be sure to let us know. But anyway friends, what are your thoughts on these insights into the city world of Coruscant? Was there information in this video that you had not heard before? And of the brand new facts that we revealed, what was your favorite? What are your thoughts on the population of Coruscant? And how it's truthfully one of the most brutal locations in the entire galaxy. Thank you so much for watching, my friends, and may the Force be with you.